Does anybody have a studio like this? RevWheels Media, Aerox versus Ntorq. Shot number one, which will always be shot number one, and of course, scene number I think is a little explicit. Hello and welcome to RevWheels. Now we're going to talk about scooters today. Now scooters have branched out into different segments. You have an economy scooter, you have a family scooter, and of course you have electric scooters and you have sporty scooters too. So today what we have is two of the most sporty scooters available in the market, the Yamaha Aerox and the recently launched TVS Ntorq 150. Since we had both the scooters together, we decided why not do a comparison and give our viewers the definitive opinion about which is the best sporty scooter in the market. I have Brumal with me and we're going to have a discussion about why one is better than the other. What do you think, Brumal?
I definitely think this is a tough competition. We tested them for around 300 kilometers
Right.
and it was a fun ride. But you know what? Let's start with design.
Yeah, I think we'll start with design. We've broken it down into different parameters and the first one is design. And talking about design, I think the Aerox walks away with it because it looks like a proper sporty scooter. I mean, those chunky tires, that underbone design, the muscle that it exudes. I think overall it looks like a proper premium sporty scooter.
I think I'll have to agree with you there. It looks like something straight out of an anime to me. It reminds me of that anime Akira.
Akira, exactly.
And it
exactly.
does look like it. It looks futuristic and those thick tires, it adds to its overall personality. But when it comes to personality, the Ntorq also has a lot of personality. It has winglets and it comes in a lot of flashy colors. The neon green that we had, then the red or the blue. I like the design.
I don't think I agree with you there. Look, the Ntorq 150 is TVS's flagship scooter. I mean, it should look like a flagship scooter, but the Ntorq 150 just looks like a fiddle with Ntorq 125. I mean, the proportions are same. Most of the panels at the rear, they're pretty much similar. It hasn't grown when it comes to size. So I don't think it has what it takes to be a flagship scooter of the company. Yeah, I mean, it looks a little funky, but I don't think it looks as, imposing as the Aerox does. So I don't
remember you comparing it to a baboon's face.
Well, it does. I mean, you have those two projector headlights at either ends, and you've got those two DRLs at the bottom.
Right.
I think it just looks at you like a baboon's looking at you.
I think once you notice that, it's very hard to not compare it with a baboon's
Well,
face. So I agree.
I look at the details a little too close. So I think we both agree that the Aerox is the better looker here. And I think even at that price tag, at almost 2 lakh rupees, most of the people are buying it just for the way it looks. I mean, it really looks that good.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to design, the Aerox just
Definitely takes the cake. Yeah.
Right. Let's get to the next one. Now let's look at the other parameter, which is features and technology. Now both the scooters are loaded, but the Ntorq, it just goes crazy when it comes to features. Let me just read out what it gets. You get the Smart Connect with navigation. You get Alexa integration. You get a crash alert. You get music and call controls, which I think is the norm. But you also get adjustable brake levers. And you get follow me headlights, which I noticed because even after remove the key, I think the headlight stays on for a bit and it just helps you find your way home, I guess. And you get hazard lamps, which is also the norm. And you get over-the-air updates. I mean, it's just loaded. I mean, just look at the amount of stuff it has on it.
I agree, and I think I can add here that the switchgear on the Ntorq is straight from the RR310. And I ride an RR310, I own one.
That's crazy.
And getting that kind of quality on a scooter that costs roughly 1,10,000,
Right.
it's just fantastic.
Right.
And when it comes to Aerox, I think they have kept things very simple, very performance oriented. It gets a negative LCD display, it gets traction control and keyless start.
Right.
And that's it, I guess.
I think they've kept it a little too simple, especially when you compare it to the Ntorq. I mean, the amount of stuff you get on it, like I said, the Aerox looks like it has nothing. Negative LCD display on a scooter that costs almost 2 lakhs. I think that's not done. And you don't get adjustable levers either.
Right.
I mean, that's something that TVS has just hit out of the park. I mean, you want it, you have it on the Ntorq. And that display looks fantastic. I think when it comes to features and technology, I think the safety bit is covered with the Aerox. You have traction control, you have ABS, but the gizmos, I mean, somebody who's spending that kind of money, you need those gizmos, you need that feel-good factor, which the TVS offers, and I think the Aerox misses out on. But then I guess that's Yamaha for you.
Definitely.
They just focus on the performance bits more as compared to the feel-good factors and the features. So I think when it comes to features and technology, again, it's a unanimous win for the TVS Ntorq. It just offers a lot more to the user. The Aerox also gets keyless ignition. I mean, you have the standard variant and you have the S variant. And I really like that feature. I mean, it just works well for me. You didn't like it, did you?
I absolutely hate it when scooters have keyless feature, because then you're constantly thinking, oh, are my keys in my pocket even while you're riding?
Right.
It's one more thing to take care of mentally.
Right.
And I feel if you just put the key inside, that's it, you're done. You'll never lose the key that way.
I mean, most super bikes have that feature now. Even the BMWs, they have a keyless ignition and you keep the key fob in your pocket. But I guess that's the way the technology is progressing, and
It's just something to attract people who love features.
But you do have an option, right? You can get the key variant as well, the standard variant.
You can.
Right.
But I feel that is a perfect feature for cars.
Right.
Because you have plenty of space in the car to keep your keys.
Right.
On a motorcycle, you don't have that place. Then why give such a feature?
Right. I mean, yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you have some bits, like you said, you can't keep the key fob. Like, I would understand that in motorcycle. I mean, if you're wearing a riding suit, you don't have place to keep a key fob. But I guess when you're riding a scooter, you still have place in your jeans. So I think I like that feature, but that's definitely a plus where you have the option to get it.
Right. So when it comes to design, we agreed that Aerox wins. But when you ride a scooter, it is the display that you look at.
Right.
And in terms of display, Ntorq has such a good display.
It does.
That you feel that you are riding much more expensive scooter than you actually are.
It does.
And with Aerox, you just don't feel that.
True.
So, yeah.
I think the technology and features, I think that goes to the Ntorq.
Definitely.
Right. Let's move on to the next one.
So let's start with practicality and daily usability.
Yeah, I think we know where this is headed again. So I think this is where the Ntorq starts edging ahead.
Right.
Because it's not an underbone scooter like the Aerox. It's a normal scooter that has been given sporty stuff to, as a flagship sporty scooter. Normal scooter that gets sporty bit. So I think practicality wise, it starts shifting towards the Ntorq. So let's take a look at the specs. So first, for practicality, let's look at under-seat storage. I think the Aerox gets 24.5 liters and the Ntorq gets 22 liters. What I noticed was the under-seat storage, it's a lot larger, a lot wider on the Aerox.
Right.
You can fit more stuff in it. But neither scooters can fit a full face helmet. You have to use the half face helmets that go in both the scooters. Also, I think the Aerox under-seat storage runs a little deeper.
It does.
As compared to the Ntorq. So a lot of stuff that's, a little bigger, it'll fit much better under the Aerox. So that is there. But the Aerox doesn't get a footboard.
Right.
So even though you have, a deeper storage for the Aerox, if you need more stuff, if you need to keep more stuff, you always have the footboard with the Ntorq. So that I think is a big advantage for the Ntorq, because any scooter in Indian conditions, I think a footboard is like the most usable feature of a scooter. I mean, you can keep stuff on it. People are literally using it as, load carriers. You see people carrying stuff on the footboard. So that is one of the most important aspects of practicality, and I think the Ntorq gets that, and this is where the Aerox misses out. What about the front storage? I think the Aerox gets a very small one.
It's a cubby holder where you can put your phone for charging.
Right.
And the same goes with the Ntorq.
Right.
That is a very tiny compartment. I don't think anyone is ever going to use it.
But I guess you can keep your phone in it. So
I'll always be scared that if a speed breaker comes, my phone will just fly out of the scooter.
Right. I guess that's with most scooters.
Yeah.
Where you have the front storage. So I think it's a little fidgety when it comes to the Aerox. You need to open the compartment and then it doesn't fit properly. But the Ntorq, I think you just have a hole, you just put it in there, and I guess that's it.
Right, but again, practicality Ntorq definitely wins. When you go for grocery shopping, that deep under-seat storage is never going to be enough or helpful.
Plus, you also have a hook on the Ntorq.
Right.
So in case you have grocery bags that you need to hang in front, you get the hook as well. No such thing on the Aerox. So I guess as a practical option, if you're looking to buy one of these scooters that you're going to be using for grocery shopping, to buy stuff as a daily use scooter, I think the Ntorq goes ahead when it comes to practicality, mainly because of the football.
True, but well, any sport vehicle is supposed to be sporty and not practical.
Irrespective, it's a scooter.
It is.
So that practicality aspect does come into the picture, and I think between these two, the Ntorq is a little more practical.
Definitely.
All right, let's move ahead. Now let's move on to seating and comfort, which is a forte of neither. All right, let me start with the Aerox first. I think we've heard plenty of bits about the Aerox seat being uncomfortable, and that boils down primarily to because of the sloping bit. I mean, it's pretty sloping in the front and then goes flat at the back. And for a frame like mine or anybody else, I think you keep pushing yourself backward.
Right.
The moment you hit the brakes or you hit a bump, you automatically slide forward, and that gets pretty uncomfortable. I mean, you just keep pushing yourself at the back, and that recline, that angle that you have, it's at a pretty awkward place. It's basically like you're sitting on a slope. It's not flat.
Keeps pushing you down.
Exactly. And for longer rides, that gets a little too uncomfortable. And let me not speak about the ride quality. My God. I mean, for our Bombay roads, where you have those horrible undulations, horrible bumps, the bad concrete joints, Aerox just cannot take it. It just bobs over them, it just skips over them, it just bottoms out. It's properly stiff, the Aerox. So I think for our road conditions, the Aerox just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And I was a pillion at one point on the
I
Aerox with
remember.
you, and I remember how much of the road I was feeling. Throughout, I could feel every imperfection that the road had to offer.
And that was despite the fact that I was taking it slow for the bumps. I mean, you just cannot go flat out on the Aerox on bumpy roads because you never know what's going to happen.
And this is supposed to be the new and improved suspension
Exactly.
setup
I
on the
mean,
Aerox.
Yamaha had to work better on the suspension, and this comes to the fore even more so after you ride the Ntorq.
Yeah, the Ntorq is definitely much more comfortable. The seat is not just pushing you down. Where you sit, you're stuck there. And even as pillions, people will be comfortable on it. Again, none of these scooters are extremely comfortable, but the Ntorq immediately is more comfortable, more inviting.
Right.
And therefore, if you're looking for comfort, again, Ntorq definitely takes the cake here without any doubts.
Yeah, I think if you're using these scooters in daily conditions, for short distances, you won't notice those things on the Aerox. But the moment you take something like our Western Express Highway, I mean, you just cannot ride it at over 50, 60 kilometers an hour because you never know if you miss a bump. If you miss spotting a bump and you just go over it, it just goes hard on it. So I think in comparison, the Ntorq is a lot softer, it's a lot more compliant, like I mentioned, and it's a lot more forgiving.
Yeah.
So even as an everyday usage, I'm sure these are scooters. You are going to be using it every day. I think again the Ntorq, is a much better option as compared to the Aerox.
Right.
All right, let's take the next one. All right, let's talk about the engine and the performance.
Well, here's where Aerox flexes its muscles, and you feel that Yamaha refinement coming in here.
Of course.
It is a 155cc engine which they have refined over the years.
Same R15 engine in
Yes.
the scooter. Yeah.
And it is a wonderful engine. I absolutely love it. It is a 155cc liquid cooled engine that produces 14.7 bhp and 13.9 newton meters of torque and does 0 to 60 in roughly 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think it varies depending on condition, but
roughly.
6.5 seconds is quick.
Respectively.
In comparison, the Ntorq is 150cc. You've got 13 bhp, you've got 14.2 Nm. Ntorq gets more torque. So you've got 14.2 Nm of torque, and I think the 0 to 60 times are pretty similar. It does about 6.2, 6.3, depending on who's riding, the conditions, all of that. So acceleration is pretty similar. But I think the Ntorq feels a lot more peppier initially. It almost feels like it has a quick throttle. I mean, the moment you just give it a bit of throttle and it just lurches forward. I think that is a good thing and a bad thing because it's not smooth.
It's not smooth. In traffic, you're constantly feeling
Exactly,
it.
right.
And it kind of gets annoying there.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Aerox has a very linear power delivery, and
True.
I always prefer vehicles with a linear power curve.
True.
And also, the Aerox engine is not as noisy as on the Ntorq.
Right.
And
I think TVS engines have always been louder.
Always
In a
been
good
loud.
way, but louder, for sure.
Not in a good way all the time. It gets annoying
True, true,
sometimes.
true. So I think the Aerox has the legs on the Ntorq when it comes to highways. I think in the city, the Ntorq feels a lot more peppier. Like I said, it almost feels like it has a quick throttle. Just a minor twist of the wrist and it just lurches forward and you're just there at the bumper of the other car. So I think city usage, the Ntorq feels a lot quicker, a lot more peppier. It feels like it has more initial. And in comparison the Aerox rather, I think it's more relaxed, like you said, it's more linear, and it doesn't give you that feeling of, oh, it's just going to lurch forward like the
Right.
Ntorq. But once you hit the highways, I think the Aerox has the legs on the Ntorq. The Ntorq, I think it maxes out at about 104, 105. I
Yeah.
think a little lower that. But the Aerox can continue up to 115 kilometers an hour, which again, between both of the two, I think the Aerox will be more comfortable at 100, 90 to 100 as compared to the Ntorq, which will be revving a little more.
Yeah, on Ntorq, I always found myself at around 70 or 75 kilometers per hour, and that was the sweet spot of the
Right,
scooter.
right.
That's where it feels that it's giving you the best performance,
Right.
and also I think mileage at that speed was
Right,
pretty good.
right,
But the Aerox, it is lovely when you're riding it
right.
fast. It almost rewards you for going fast.
True, true. I think it just likes to go fast,
Yeah.
and the engine just tells you to keep pushing. That's the beauty of that engine. I think engine and performance, hands down, it has to go to the Aerox.
So again, the Japanese get it.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to the next one. Yeah. Now, I know these are sporty scooters, but you are going to be using them every day, and fuel efficiency still counts. So let's talk about fuel efficiency.
So I think before we rode these scooters, we had our preconceived notions that the Aerox will definitely drink more petrol. But well, to our surprise, that wasn't the case at all.
True.
And we also thought Ntorq will give us much better mileage because of its smaller dimensions.
But that's not so at all. So, all right, let's talk about the numbers. So, you get a 5.5 liter tank on the Aerox and a 5.8 liter tank on the Ntorq, which is weird considering how big the Aerox looks. It's got a smaller tank.
Right.
And I think riding, you got somewhere between 35 to 40 kilometers per liter on the Ntorq.
And the Ntorq, yes.
And I managed to get a little over 40 kilometers per liter on the Aerox. But mind you, under normal city usage where you're making the gap and you're throttling out, it will come down to 35 kilometers per liter.
Definitely on the Ntorq.
Exactly. Even on the Aerox, I mean, it will come down under 40 kilometers per liter when you're really giving it the gas, when you're making those gaps in the city, and you're riding a little on the harder side. But normal riding conditions, I think, when you're trying to save fuel, when you're really riding to save fuel, I think the Aerox is a little more efficient. Also, because the Aerox, it just gives better mileage when you're riding at higher speeds, at 60, 70 kilometers per hour. And you've also got the variable valve actuation, which helps the engine breathe better. And I think it just gives the Aerox a little more efficiency. I think even the refinement, all of it put together, I think the Aerox is a little better than the Ntorq when it comes to mileage.
Yeah, so on the Ntorq, you have all the fun bits, a TFT display and very flashy looking scooter. But when it comes to engine, overall, I think Yamaha has done a very good job there.
Right.
And if you are somebody who just cares about the ride quality, well, suspension, usko chhod do. But
Right.
otherwise, mechanically, it's a very good scooter.
And I mean, just look at the specs. I mean, the Aerox is heavier.
Right.
It's got chunkier tires, and even then, it's got more power than the Ntorq. And even then, at higher speed, it's managed to eke out better fuel efficiency than the Ntorq. That's Japanese engineering for you.
Definitely.
So I think fuel efficiency wise, both are pretty much similar, but the Aerox gets a slight edge ahead. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Now let's get to the best part about these sporty scooters, the ride and handling. Now the Aerox, I absolutely loved it. When the situations were right, let me put that specifically. When the situations were right, I think the Aerox was fantastic when it comes to the handling. It just flows very smoothly into corners. It gives you plenty of confidence. Those chunky tires, the very sorted chassis. I mean, all of that, it just comes together and makes it a very fun scooter to ride. I mean, it's almost like a motorcycle. And on a good set of twisties, you can, I think, easily keep up with some of the motorcycles on an Aerox. It's really that good. And I guess when it comes to ride quality, again, when the roads are good, I think the Aerox feels awesome. It just takes in those minor bumps and the undulations. Well, the minor ones, let me specify that.
Yes.
But like I said before, on bad roads or on the bad stretches, when you have lots of undulations, lot of potholes, the Aerox just struggles. I mean, it just doesn't want to go over bumps. It doesn't want to go over potholes. You have to be careful. You can't just go flat out on a stretch where you don't know the roads. Because if you hit a a big bump or an undulation, it just unsettles the scooter pretty bad. So you have to know that when the conditions are right and you have the Aerox with you, it'll just cover for all the bad stuff. But when the conditions are not right, I think it's like sweet pain, you know. I mean, it gives you all the sweet bits when the roads are good, but pain when they aren't. What about the Ntorq?
Right. So the Ntorq here is a very fun scooter to ride. It has a very short wheelbase, and because of that, it's very nimble. So turning, twisting, going around the city, it does the job, and it does that job very nicely.
Right,
But the tires are also grippy. But the biggest weakness on this scooter was its rear brake.
right. I
You
mean,
rode it, I
non-existent.
rode it. It just does not do a good job stopping the scooter
Right,
at all.
right, right. I mean, those rear brakes were non-existent.
Non-existent, truly.
Right,
But the front discs do get the job done,
right,
and we did the braking test as well,
right,
and
right,
the Aerox came out
right,
much better
right.
there.
I think both the front brakes, the disc, they work very well. The Aerox has a strong bite, but you have a lot of feel on the Aerox. You know what the brake is up to, you know what's happening under the tires. It's not the same with the Ntorq. I mean, the brake bite is there, but you don't know what's happening. There's no feel on the
Right.
levers. So both the bikes stop well, but I think the Aerox gives you a bit of more confidence because of that feel.
But I personally felt that that confidence was missing because on the Aerox you sit a bit disconnected to the road,
Right.
and because of that you don't feel the road as much as you would want to while braking. What do you think on that?
I think it's a matter of getting used to in the Aerox. The more you ride it, like, you know, I never got off the Aerox most of the time.
Yeah, you
I
kept
mean,
complaining about how horrible the ride is on that, but you never left that scooter.
so that was the thing. I mean, it's a love and hate thing with the Aerox. I mean, you don't like the things it doesn't do well, but when it does well, I mean, you just don't want to get off it. It just does it so well, and like I said, you know, you just when you ride it enough, you know how that scooter handles. You know how it's going to react to for different things, and that's when you get the confidence on the Aerox. It's not so with the Ntorq. It just feels like a normal scooter.
It does feel like a normal
You just
scooter.
ride it like you would ride an Activa for that matter, but it's not the same with the Aerox. You need to get used to the dynamics, and once you do, I think that confidence just comes. It gives you that confidence, and you can just ride it faster.
Right. You're right there that the Ntorq feels like a commuter, but not a sporty scooter.
Right, right,
Yeah, at heart it is a 150cc scooter,
right,
which we consider as something sporty,
right,
but it definitely lacks that characteristic
True.
which I would want from my sporty scooter.
right. I mean, if you take both of these on a go-kart track, I think we'll have a lot more fun on the Aerox as compared to the Ntorq. I mean, it's
Definitely.
not like the Ntorq's bad. I mean, it's flickable, it changes directions pretty quickly, but the confidence that the Aerox gives you with those larger tires and the better brakes and that engine, you know, all combined together, I think it makes it, I think it gives it the tag of the better handling scooter here.
Definitely, I agree there.
All right, let's take the next one. All right, I guess it's time to conclude things. So let's start with the price. The Yamaha Aerox. I think the base variant, the standard variant rather, costs about 1,40,000 ex showroom Bombay. And if you want the S variant with the keyless entry that you don't like, is 3,000 rupees more. It's about 143. And I think that's expensive for a scooter, especially when you compare it to the Ntorq.
Yeah, the Ntorq has a starting price of 1,09,000 rupees, at which you get everything but the TFT.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
the TFT will cost you an additional roughly 9,000 rupees, which will bring the cost to 1,18,000 rupees here.
Ah.
But ever since the introduction of TFT display on the RR310, I think TVS has gone all out with all their offerings, and their TFT displays are amazing to look at, amazing to use, and
That's true.
gives you plenty of data.
That's true. That's true.
And therefore, if you can, I would suggest everyone to go for that TFT
I
display
mean, that's the
variant.
highlight of the scooter, the TFT.
Yeah,
But just comparing the prices, I think 118 for the Ntorq with the TFT, 143 for the Aerox S version. You still have a 25,000 rupee gap between them, and I think that's significant. That's a huge gap. But I guess when you look at buying the Ntorq, it's the complete package.
right.
It gives you the practicality aspect of a scooter. It gives you the performance aspect of a sporty scooter. So I guess it does it all, and it's significantly cheaper than the Aerox. I think the Aerox has its work cut out here. I think the Ntorq makes for a very value for money package when you compare it to the Yamaha Aerox. I mean, you get everything that the Aerox offers when it comes to features, when it comes to performance, but at a 25,000 rupee less price tag. That's very hard to beat.
It is. It is a family approach. So if you are somebody with family who want to drop your kids to the school or want to go grocery shopping, well, the Ntorq is your choice. But if you are somebody who just wants that speed and performance
Right.
and wants to feel that sporty scooter hai mere paas wala thing,
Right.
then well, it is the Aerox and there is nothing that looks like it on our roads.
True. So I think it boils down to this. If you buy from your head, the Ntorq makes a lot of sense. That price tag, the amount of features that it gets, and the performance that it has, I think it's a no-brainer. Like I said, if you're deciding from the head, the Ntorq is an absolute no-brainer, and it does everything that you ask for from a scooter with that extra performance on offer. But
That's a big but because a sports vehicle is never supposed to be bought with your brain.
that is true.
It is all about your heart.
Absolutely. I mean, Yamaha pulls at your heartstrings like no other. I mean, you said it, right? I mean, I found it uncomfortable. I didn't like the seat, but I wouldn't get off it.
Right. You would not. It was hard to get you off that scooter for me to even experience it.
And that's the thing about the Aerox. It just pulls at you. I mean, when the conditions are right, like I mentioned before, the Aerox is sublime. It's beautiful. Everything falls into place. It feels like man and machine have just come together and you just have a blast on it. And it's for those people who do not want a practical everyday scooter but just want an out and out performance scooter with no compromises. It doesn't have the features of the Ntorq, it doesn't have the everyday usability of the Ntorq, but it just does everything so well for what it's intended. For anything sporty, for for somebody who doesn't want a motorcycle but wants to experience going outside on the highways, do long distances, the Aerox just makes a lot of sense.
So in a way, it makes for a great second scooter,
You can say that.
not
Like,
as your primary scooter.
exactly. I mean, you have motorcycles, sport motorcycles that become your second motorcycle, with the primary bike being something else. The Aerox is the same. It's expensive, it's uncomfortable, and it has less features than the Ntorq, but I think it just does what it's intended to do very well, and that is make you happy, make the enthusiast in you happy. I think that's where the difference stands. So I guess it's pretty clear. If you want a more everyday scooter that you can live with, the Ntorq makes more sense. If you want an out and out performance scooter that's going to keep you happy in certain conditions but keep you happy, very happy when it does things right, the Aerox takes it there.
Right. So it's hard to disagree with you here, and I think that's it.
All
This
right.
is the comparison.
That
and
was
we
it.
have also told people which one to pick
Exactly.
as per their needs.
Right.
So
Right. I guess that's it. And so that was the comparison between the TVS Ntorq and the Yamaha Aerox. Let us know in the comments, what would you choose between these two scooters?
And well, if you like this content, definitely let us know what we should compare next. And for more such content, do subscribe to RevWheels and do press that bell icon so you never miss an update from us.